Good morning, everyone. I'm a computer engineering professional, and on behalf of the organizing committee, welcome to the first ever Inter-Region Career Conference. We have gathered here to look beyond the job listings and dive into the real-world experiences that will shape your professional lives. Our focus is on sustainable careers, not just in the environmental sense, but in terms of job stability, upskilling, and a career that can grow with you. In our audience today, we have three brilliant young minds: our civil engineer graduate, our computer science graduate, and our computer engineering graduate. They represent the next generation of ASEAN professionals, and they have some big questions for our panel. Let's begin with our first career path and welcome the civil engineering professional, a senior civil engineer from Singapore.
As a fresh graduate from the Philippines, my dream is to work on transportation projects, but in my country and many others, traffic is a huge problem. I also come from a middle class family and need to support my younger siblings' education. How do I choose a career path that's both impactful and provides the stability I need?
That's a fantastic question. The challenge of transportation is real across our region. For a civil engineer, a sustainable career means staying relevant. The GTCI retained metric for countries like Singapore and Malaysia with high scores in quality of vocational training. On a scale from 1 to 7, they score 5.4 and 5.1 respectively. This shows a commitment to developing a labor force with up-to-date skills. This is a career where you can't stop learning, so you must be proactive in keeping your skills sharp. On the job, companies that offer good training, like in Singapore and Malaysia, using the same scale, they score 5.7 and 5.4 respectively, and will also help in upskilling.
That's a crucial point. To add a social context, let's hear from someone who deals with these realities every day. Please welcome our experienced civil engineer, a working father from the Philippines.
Thank you. For me, a sustainable career meant one that could support my family, not just financially, but of course also in terms of my well-being and my child's. I had to look at my country's support systems. The Health Security Index, for example, tells us how prepared countries are for health hazards. The Philippines has a decent score at 46.5, but it's not as high as Thailand's at 64.7 or Singapore's 47.3. This metric isn't just for tourists. It tells us how protected we are as workers and parents. And for my child's future, I also had to consider the quality of formal education and online protection, as well as the environmental context such as pollution. The Philippines pollution rank is 14.9 micrograms per cubic meter, which is better than Indonesia's 28.4 micrograms per cubic meter and Thailand's 28.3 micrograms per cubic meter, showing some progress. These factors might not be in your job description, but they are absolutely part of your career's long-term sustainability.
Thank you both. It's clear that a career choice is never just about one factor. Now, let's move on to the digital world. I'll be speaking about computer engineering, and a colleague of mine will speak about computer science. Please welcome the computer science professional, a specialist in machine learning from Vietnam, and our experienced computer science and engineering guest, a software engineer from Indonesia. As our computer science graduate, do you have a question for the computer science professional?
I'm a fresh graduate from Thailand with a background in psychology. I am fascinated by human interaction and how it can be applied to AI, but I worry about finding a good working environment. How do I ensure that my workplace is a good fit and not just a tech sweatshop?
Well, that's where the GTCI enabled metric comes in. It's about a good working environment. We can look at things like ICT infrastructure, which is the backbone of our industry, Singapore and Vietnam have excellent scores at 95.87 and 86.77 respectively, but Brunei and Cambodia are still catching up. This tells you where the opportunities for growth in AI are. But a good environment is more than just tech. It's about people. Look at gender parity in high-skilled jobs. Many countries in a region like Brunei, Indonesia, and Vietnam have excellent scores at 83.85, 85.24, and 84.63, showing that our industry is becoming more inclusive. Also consider tolerance of immigrants. A high score like Singapore's at 84.62 suggests a diverse workforce and a wider range of ideas. This creates a richer, more tolerant, and ultimately more sustainable environment for innovation.
Thank you. Now, for our computer engineering graduate, do you have a question for me?
Hello, I would say that I'm passionate about green software and making technology more energy efficient. How do I ensure that my skills remain relevant in a field that is always changing?
Well, that's the core of the GTCI Grow metric, constant upskilling. Green technology is a perfect example of a field that requires constant adaptation. The data on CO2 emissions shows us that which countries are seriously investing in green technologies. Singapore and Brunei have negative percentages at negative 2.96% and negative 4.45% respectively, meaning they are making progress, but others like Indonesia at 13.14% and the Philippines at 6.32% still have some way to go. This indicates where the market for green tech is growing. To stay ahead, you need to be in a place that encourages continuous learning. Look at the data for prevalence of training in firms. The Philippines, for example, has a high score at 74.24%, while Indonesia at 5.05% and Malaysia at 26.69% have lower scores. This tells you which countries' companies are most likely to invest in their employees' skill development. It's also crucial to have access to growth opportunities, which is high in Singapore at 79.83%, but lower in places like Laos at 31.08%. In this industry, upskilling isn't a bonus, but it's a necessity.
If I can add to both of your points as a career shifter, I can tell both of you graduates that the willingness to learn is what truly makes a career sustainable. I didn't start in tech. I learned what I needed through online courses and bootcamps. Don't wait for someone else to train you. Take the initiative yourself. The beauty of the digital world is that internal labor mobility is quite good. Because in the Philippines and Malaysia, for example, their scores are 5.4 and 5.5, respectively, on a 1 to 7 scale. This means you have the freedom to move if a workplace isn't a good fit. It's about building a resume of skills, not just jobs.
Thank you all for that incredible conversation. We've learned that a sustainable career is a complex mosaic. It's about job stability, but also about the social context of your life, your family, your health, and your environment. It's about a good working culture, but also about the ability to upskill and adapt. To our graduates, I hope you leave here today not with a definitive answer, but with a clearer understanding of the questions you need to ask yourselves and the factors you need to consider. A career is a journey, not a destination. Thank you to our panelists and our audience. This concludes the conference. We wish you all the best in your career journeys.